Welcome to the CYF course. Today we will share about including families in outreach. First of all, congratulations! If you are watching this video, it means that you are interested or you have decided to include families in your outreach. Doing that, you place your action at the heart of our KKI vision. One of our 7 core values is the linking of generations. 3 generations honoring, living, and serving our Father together. If you are interested to know more about that specific value, don't hesitate to watch the video unfolding it. As you choose to involve several generations, you are not choosing simplicity. It's true that it's easier to organize and run an activity for a single age group. Involving families complicates things, but it brings so much more that it's really worth the job. In every activity that we are organizing as a team, we are always trying to involve at least 3 generations. I would like to share with you a few thoughts based on our different experiences to allow this wonderful experience to go as smoothly as possible. Families enrich a team enormously just by being there. They show and live a family model that often does a lot of good and has a lot of impact. I remember a few years ago we were as a family in Mali, Africa, and we spent there 1 month to teach in one of our KKI schools. And the students heard us a lot, as you can imagine, over 1 month. But at the end, when we were debriefing and they were sharing what has the most impacting them, almost all of them said, to see you and observe you as a family. It's amazing how you were speaking to one another. It's amazing how every morning Guy was reading the Bible to the children. It's amazing how they were involved in doing some practical things and so on and so on. Wow, once again it reminds us how it's important and how family modeling, living together is impacting. In fact, God's purposes and dreams cannot be fully unfolded only with 1 generation. If we want to reach the center of the target, God's will, and I guess it's your will too, it would be wise for us to study His Word and to try to grasp, for instance, what it means when God introduces Himself as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's not by chance. And then to try to put this principle into practice. Involving families in outreach is one aspect of it. Families are not going to live at the same pace as others, and it would be wrong to require it, which is why it's important that those in charge of the program would be flexible. The simplest thing is to define in advance with the parents what are the times when the whole family must be present, or only when 1 or 2 of the adults are okay with the children, and what are the optional times. And please do not compare the families and do not expect the same involvement for every one of them. Some families have more energy, are more organized, are more active, more relational, more flexible than others, and that's fine. Define clearly the expectation and the required participation. For example, in our outreaches, we ask at least 1 of the parents to be present at each meeting, to be sure not to miss any info, and if not possible, to designate someone that will give them a feedback as soon as the meeting is over. We recommend that among your staff team, one would be delegated to look after the well-being of the family and ensure a good and daily communication. During this time, and they don't need to be long, you can ask these kind of questions. How are you doing? What is currently your main challenge as a family? Do you have the impression that you can serve and contribute at your best? Could we do something helpful or improve something? It usually doesn't take much for the whole family to adjust if we deal daily with these issues, instead of waiting too long, and then it becomes very, even too difficult to overcome. Some families will appreciate having a meal with each other from time to time, or an evening or an afternoon. And if the opportunity arises, it's great, for example, to be able to send the parents out for a romantic evening and babysit the children. Each time the team of leaders works on the schedule and activities, they must ask themselves the question, what about the families? What about the younger ones? You know, the consequences of announcing to an individual to pack and leave, or to a whole family, are totally different. It takes obviously more time, and the younger the children are, the more organization is required. Nap, snacks, things to take, and so on. It's important for family to know in advance when they are leaving and when they are coming back. It's important to free the parents as much as possible from work duties. They already do enough within their own family. Try to give them one task that can be done with some of their children. For example, serving the meal, collecting papers, preparing breakfasts, thinking about birthdays, and so on. We strongly encourage families with young children to take a babysitter with them. And we also encourage the staff team to delegate one or two staff or participants as needed to help out, for example, carrying suitcases, washing up, pitching the tent, and all of that. In order to avoid tension or misunderstandings, it's necessary to clearly specify who is in charge of the children, at what time, and to pass on the baton, to pass on the responsibility clearly, all for the safety of the children. There is a great danger that both parents and staff think that the children are taken care of by the group, and in fact, nobody is responsible for them. It's also sometimes tempting for parents to rely on the staff or team and to relax supervision. And there are also young participants or staff who could quickly hide or feel trapped in this task and not daring to say no. It's something to be careful about. Is the family is composed of teenagers? It's important to talk about their place. Do they integrate the outreach as participants on their own, or are they staying within their family? Meaning, for example, where will they sleep? With their parents or with the other participants in a dorm? And it's really important that as parents, we position ourselves correctly, releasing and trusting our teenagers. They need some space around them. You know how? Not controlling what they eat, not making comments, letting them come to us instead of us going every minute, no, every single day to them. You know, most of our life, half of our life we have spent, and we are still spending them, in a camp with many, many people around us. And I remember that our children growing, I had to learn that. And when our last son decided to be on its own on a camp, it was quite a step and a new phase for us. But you know what? I discovered him. He was so autonomous, so responsible, ready on time. I was like, wow! You know, and just to let him blossom in that context was something so good for him and for us too. We discovered new aspects of him. And several times now that our oldest one are adults, they are leading the camps or the outreaches we are in. And for me, it's such a joy to have them and to support them as I can. All that to say that clear communication and anticipation will allow the release of a greater expression of God's purposes and dream within and through the families joining your outreach team. Outreaches are great opportunities for families to grow and mature and to gather unforgettable memories. You know what? When we ask our children, if we have to choose between an outreach or family holidays, what would be your choice? They answer without hesitation, and me too. Outreach! To conclude, let's ask ourselves some questions. They are appearing on your screen right now. Looking forward to hearing your testimonies. Bye for now and see you then.